We all have those days where our own mind feels like the heaviest burden we carry. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, a dark cloud of stress, overthinking, and negativity has already settled in. It is exhausting to fight a battle inside your own head, especially when you are just trying to get through the day. If you are feeling completely burned out by this invisible weight, you are not alone, and it is not your fault. The mind is designed to wander, but without training, it often wanders into the darkest corners. Today, we are going to explore an ancient, practical method to instantly release that heavy burden. By making a few subtle shifts in your awareness, you can turn your mind from your greatest enemy into your most peaceful sanctuary. One of the most profound teachings in ancient Eastern philosophy is often the most misunderstood. You may have heard the famous statement that life is suffering. At first glance, this sounds incredibly pessimistic. If life is nothing but suffering, why should we even try to find happiness? Why are we here? But this common translation completely misses the true, healing essence of the original message. The ancient word used was dukkha. While it is frequently translated as suffering, a much more accurate meaning is unsatisfactoriness or a feeling of being unsettled. Think of it like a wheel on a cart that is slightly out of alignment. Every time the wheel turns, there is a bump, a subtle friction that makes the entire journey feel rough and uncomfortable. This friction is exactly what you are feeling when your mind becomes heavy and negative. The Buddha did not mean that your life is entirely miserable. In fact, he spoke beautifully about the profound joys, the deep loves, and the quiet moments of peace we get to experience. There are beautiful, happy experiences in this world. There are also deeply painful ones. And there are neutral, everyday moments that we barely even notice. But all of these experiences share one unavoidable truth. They are all impermanent. They are constantly changing. Your mind feels incredibly heavy right now, not just because you are facing difficulties, but because you are demanding permanence in a world that is fundamentally designed to change. When we experience something wonderful, our immediate instinct is to cling to it. We want to freeze time. We believe that if we can just hold on tight enough, the happiness will last forever. But the true nature of every experience is that it rises, it stays for a while, and then it fades away. When the joy inevitably fades, we feel a deep sense of loss. We feel unsatisfied. On the other hand, when we experience something painful or uncomfortable, our mind convinces us that this darkness will last forever. We panic. We resist the pain, and in our desperate resistance, we actually amplify it. We create our own mental prison by fighting against the natural flow of reality. This constant yearning for things to be different than they are is what causes your mental exhaustion. It is a concept known as thirst. You are spiritually and mentally thirsty, constantly seeking an oasis in a desert of changing sands. You might find yourself thinking that you will finally be happy when you get that new job, or when a specific person treats you better, or when your financial situation improves. You place your peace of mind in the future, tying it to external events that you cannot fully control. But impermanence itself is not the enemy. The sunset is beautiful precisely because it does not last forever. The cherry blossom is breathtaking because its bloom is so short. The suffering only begins when we demand that the sun never sets and the flower never wilts. Wanting impermanent things to remain permanent is the true root of a heavy, negative mind. Once you deeply understand this, a massive weight begins to lift from your shoulders. You realize that your current anxiety, your stress, and your negative thoughts are not permanent fixtures of your soul. They are simply passing clouds in the vast sky of your mind. You do not need to fight the clouds. You do not need to push them away. You simply need to recognize them for what they are, temporary, fleeting, and powerless unless you give them your energy. By accepting the transient nature of your thoughts, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of your own mind and start becoming the peaceful observer of your life. To truly understand how this invisible mental weight operates, let me share a story with you. Imagine a wise, elderly teacher standing in front of a quiet room filled with eager students. He is holding up a simple, clear glass of water. He paces back and forth across the front of the room, making sure every student can see the glass. The room is silent as the students wait for him to ask the inevitable, predictable question. They all expect him to ask if the glass is half empty or half full. Instead, with a gentle, knowing smile, the teacher looks out at his audience and asks, "How heavy is this glass of water?" The students murmur among themselves and start calling out answers. Some say 8 ounces. Others guess 10 or 12 ounces. They debate the physical mass of the glass and the exact volume of the water inside it. The teacher listens patiently to their answers, still holding the glass perfectly steady in his extended right arm. Finally, he shakes his head slightly and replies, "The absolute weight of this glass does not matter at all. The true weight depends entirely on how long I choose to hold it." He explains further. "If I hold this glass for 1 minute, it is not a problem. It feels very light. If I hold it for an hour, I will start to feel a deep ache in my muscle. The physical weight of the glass has not changed one bit, but it begins to feel much heavier. If I force myself to hold it for an entire day, my arm will cramp. It will feel completely numb and paralyzed. The pain will become so agonizing that I will eventually be forced to drop it." In every single scenario, the actual weight of the glass remains the same. But the longer I hold on to it, the heavier and more unbearable the burden becomes. The teacher then gently sets the glass down on the table, letting out a long sigh of relief. He looks deeply at his students and says, "Your worries, your stress, your anxieties, and your negative thoughts are exactly like this glass of water. If you think about a negative thought or a minor frustration for a brief moment, nothing really happens. It is just a passing idea. It is light, harmless, and easily forgotten. But if you hold on to that thought and dwell on it for a few hours, your mind begins to ache. It starts to sour your mood and drain your physical energy. And if you think about it all day long, day after day, that single thought will completely paralyze you. You will feel utterly incapable of experiencing joy or focusing on anything else. The thought will consume your entire being. We so often believe that our mental exhaustion comes from the sheer size of our problems. We convince ourselves that if we just had smaller problems, or fewer responsibilities, our minds would finally feel lighter. But the profound truth is that the exhaustion comes from our stubborn refusal to simply put the glass down. We carry our past regrets, our anger towards others, and our terrifying, what-if, scenarios about the future with us everywhere we go. We grip them tightly, long after the actual event has ended. Someone might have said something unkind to you yesterday morning. The actual event lasted for maybe 10 seconds. But by replaying that exact moment in your head 100 times today, you are carrying that heavy glass of water until your mental muscles completely give out. To find lasting peace, you must remember to set the glass down on the table. You must learn how to let go of the heavy, negative thoughts before they paralyze your spirit. But letting go is not a magical switch you can just flip. You cannot force a thought out of your head through sheer willpower. True letting go requires a gentle, deliberate practice. It requires stepping back, waking up, and fundamentally changing your relationship with your own wandering mind. So, how do we actually put the glass down? How do we stop carrying the crushing weight of negative thoughts when our brain seems hardwired to hold on to them? Before you can fix a heavy mind, you must first realize that it is heavy. The absolute foundation of mastering your mental state is developing what we call radical awareness, or the observer effect. Right now, when you get angry, sad, or jealous, you likely become completely consumed by that emotion. You do not say to yourself, "I am currently experiencing a feeling of anger." Instead, you say, "I am angry." You identify with the emotion entirely. You merge with the negative thought until there is no separation between who you are and what you are feeling. When you are lost in this autopilot mode, you are entirely at the mercy of your mind. Think of your mind like a vast, boundless, beautiful blue sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your daily stresses are the weather. Sometimes the weather is bright and sunny. Sometimes there is a catastrophic, dark thunderstorm raining down on you. But no matter how violent the storm gets, the storm can never break the sky. The sky simply holds the weather, allows it to pass through, and remains perfectly untouched. You are the sky. You are not the thunderstorm. To take back control, you have to learn how to step outside of the storm and simply watch the rain fall. This means waking up in the middle of a negative thought spiral and saying, "Oh, I see what is happening here. My mind is wandering into a dark place again." If you are not mindful of what you are thinking, you have absolutely zero power to change it. You cannot control a machine if you do not even realize you are the one sitting in the driver's seat. Whenever you feel that familiar heaviness creeping into your chest, your first step is simply to notice it without judgment. Do not be mad at yourself for feeling negative. Just observe it. By simply becoming aware of the thought, you immediately create a vital gap between you and the emotion. In that tiny space of awareness, you regain your power to choose how you respond. Once you have stepped back and become the peaceful observer of your mind, you can begin to redirect its energy. Remember, you can never forcibly remove a negative thought. If I tell you to absolutely not think about a pink elephant, the very first thing your mind will do is picture a pink elephant. Force creates resistance, and resistance makes the thought stronger. Instead of fighting the darkness, we are going to gently turn on the light. We do this by asking 5 diagnostic questions to pull the wandering mind back into the present moment. Number 1. What specific thought is stealing my peace right now? When we feel heavy, it usually just feels like a giant, overwhelming cloud of bad. You need to isolate the exact cause. Ask yourself, what exactly is disturbing my inner peace at this very second? Is it anger about an argument? Is it fear about tomorrow's presentation? Is it jealousy over someone else's success? Or is it simply procrastination and laziness making you feel guilty? When you name the thief that is stealing your joy, you strip away its mysterious power over you. Number 2, where is my mind right now? This is one of the most powerful questions you can ever ask yourself. The truth is, human beings rarely live in the present moment. Our minds are time travelers. We are either living in the past, dwelling on regrets and replaying old arguments, or we are living in the future, worrying about catastrophes that have not even happened yet. The past is gone, and the future does not exist. The only place you can ever find true peace is right here, in the present moment. Ask yourself where your mind has traveled to, and gently call it back home to the right now. Number 3, is holding on to this thought serving me or hurting me? Now that you have caught the negative thought, analyze it like a scientist. Ask yourself if clutching onto this anger or anxiety is actually providing you with any real value. Will staying angry at this person magically change what they did? Will worrying endlessly about tomorrow make tomorrow any easier? The answer is almost always no. You will quickly realize that the negative thought offers zero return on investment. It is only burning up your precious energy and destroying your inner peace. Seeing this clearly makes it much easier to drop the glass of water. Number 4, what is the best possible action I can take in this exact moment? Negative thoughts make us passive victims. We sit there and let the anxiety wash over us. This question forces you out of victimhood and into action. Instead of staying stuck in a bitter state, ask yourself what the best alternative is. If you are angry, maybe the best action is to practice forgiveness. If you are stressed about a project, maybe the best action is to close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and write down one simple task to complete first. Shift your mental energy away from the problem and directly toward the solution. Number 5, what will my life look like if I cultivate a positive response instead? The mind loves rewards. If you want to train your mind to let go of negativity, you have to show it the benefit of doing so. Visualize the relief you will feel when you finally forgive that person who wronged you. Imagine the lightness in your chest when you stop worrying about things outside of your control. When you focus intensely on the beautiful benefits of inner peace, compassion, and gratitude, your mind will naturally want to walk toward that light. You give your brain a reason to let go of the heavy baggage and step forward with a lighter heart. Now that you have anchored your mind in the present moment with those 5 questions, you might still feel a lingering resistance. Sometimes, a negative thought is so deeply rooted that simply acknowledging it is not enough to make it disappear. For those stubborn, heavy moments, the Buddha taught a very specific, practical, 5-step gradual training method. Think of this as a step-by-step emergency protocol for a spiraling mind. You start with the gentlest approach, and if that does not work, you gradually escalate to the next step. Step 1, the pattern interrupt, shift to the wholesome. When you notice your mind getting dragged down into the mud of anger, lust, or deep sadness, your very first line of defense is a sharp pattern interrupt. You must immediately shift your thought pattern to something entirely wholesome. You cannot hold 2 opposing thoughts in your mind at the same time. You cannot feel deep, genuine gratitude and furious, burning anger in the same millisecond. So, when the dark thought arrives, forcefully pivot your attention to a bright one. Think of a specific time you went out of your way to help a stranger. Think of the unconditional love you feel for a pet, or a deeply peaceful memory from your childhood. When you flood your mind with a wholesome, uplifting image, the negative thought is instantly starved of the attention it needs to survive. Step 2. Recognize the cost, the ROI of negativity. If shifting to a happy memory did not work, and the dark thought is still creeping back in, it is time to use logic. Move to step 2 and deeply consider the disadvantages of what you are doing. We often indulge in negative thoughts because, in a twisted way, it feels good to be righteously angry or justified in our resentment. But you have to remind yourself of the actual cost. If you continue to hold on to this furious anger, who is really getting hurt? The person you are mad at is probably happily going about their day, completely unaware of your suffering. You are the only one drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. Tell yourself clearly, if I keep letting this anger grow, it will destroy my peace. It will ruin my evening. It will make me harsh with my family. When you vividly see the destructive consequences of the thought, your mind will naturally want to drop it like a hot coal. Step 3. The art of ignoring. Starve the fire. If logic fails and the thought is still bothering you, proceed to step 3. Pay it absolutely no mind. Negative thoughts thrive on attention. The more you analyze them, fight them, or try to rationalize them, the bigger they grow. It is like feeding a stray dog. If you keep giving it scraps, it will never leave your porch. Treat your negative thought like a toddler throwing a tantrum in a grocery store. If you rush over and make a big fuss, the toddler will scream louder because they got exactly what they wanted, your attention. But if you stand back, calmly observe, and refuse to engage, the child eventually realizes the tantrum is useless and quiets down. Do the same thing with your mind. Let the thought be there. Do not fight it, but do not interact with it either. Give it zero energy, and simply watch it run out of gas and fade away. Step 4. Soften the edges. Cultivate compassion. Sometimes, ignoring a thought is impossible because your mind has become too agitated. When you are caught in a cycle of negativity, your mental state feels rough, jagged, and aggressively busy. You feel physically tense. When you hit this wall, move to step 4. Relax the thought process by softening the edges. You do this by actively cultivating feelings of profound softness. Counter the harshness of the anxiety with the gentle, soothing energy of loving kindness and self-compassion. Instead of judging yourself for being stressed, wrap yourself in grace. Say to yourself, it is okay that I am struggling right now. I am human, and this is a difficult moment. Breathe deeply and send thoughts of goodwill out into the world. As you focus on these soft, subtle concepts, the hard, frantic energy of your negative thoughts will naturally begin to melt away, leaving you relaxed and centered. Step 5. The final stand, conscious willpower. If you have genuinely tried all 4 previous steps, and the negative thought is still overpowering you, there is one final resort. The Buddha taught that in extreme cases, you must crush the thought with pure awareness and sheer determination. You must grit your teeth, plant your feet firmly in your mind, and say, no. I absolutely refuse to entertain this thought any longer. You forcefully reject the negativity. However, you must use this final step with extreme caution. This is an advanced technique meant only for experienced practitioners. For most of us, using brute force against our own mind backfires. The harder you push the mind, the harder it pushes back. If you are constantly warring with your own thoughts, you will only create more stress and exhaustion. Therefore, always attempt the first 4 gentle steps before ever resorting to this final, forceful stand. Mastering your mind and learning to let go of the heavy glass of water is not a magic trick. It is not going to happen overnight, and it will not be easy. You have spent your entire life reacting automatically to negative emotions, and rewiring those deep mental habits will take time, patience, and profound self-compassion. There will be days when you drop the glass easily, and there will be days when your arm aches from holding on to the weight. That is perfectly okay. The goal is not perfection, the goal is simply practice. Keep asking yourself those 5 grounding questions. Keep moving through the 5 steps of gradual release. Eventually, what once felt like an impossible battle will become your natural, peaceful state of being. You do not have to be a slave to your thoughts. You hold the power to put the heavy glass down, right now, in this very moment. If you are ready to put the heavy weight down and reclaim your inner peace today, leave a comment below saying, "I choose peace today." Let this be a commitment to yourself and a beacon of encouragement for our community. If you found value in this practice, please like this video and subscribe to the Buddha Coha channel for more guidance on mastering your mind and finding lasting serenity. Thank you for walking this path with me today. May your mind be light, and may your heart be at peace.